So it's back. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be working on F36, which just recently got back after we thought that we fixed the problem. So yeah, the car came last week. It had a problem with 5-volt circuit. So basically no 5-volt sensors were working, and last time we tried to fix it. We started disconnecting all the sensors, everything, and when we disconnected the fuel, oil pressure, temperature sensor, 5-volt circuit came back to life. We changed the sensor, we tried to warm up the car, everything seems working. We thought that we fixed this problem. However, as you can see from the car behind me, that didn't fix the problem. So last weekend the car came back with all the same problems, and today we will try to find what is causing it. Last time we started from disconnecting all the sensors, because whenever there is a 5-volt problem and when one of the sensors is short-circuited, it can throw away the whole 5-volt system, and most likely cause usually is one of the sensors which is wrong, which is short-circuited. It could be ECU or the wiring. So we tried fixing it. We were happy that when we disconnected this sensor, everything came back to life. We changed the sensor, original, but as I previously mentioned, everything came back with this. Car came back with the same problem. So today we'll be taking the whole car, the engine bay apart, trying to find if it's a wiring problem or not, or the AC is wrong. Right now our hypothesis is that ECU is on its last legs, because when the car came, we found on the 5-volt circuit all 12 volts, which is unusual to say the least. Because when it's 0 volts, yeah, it could be a short circuit. When it's 12 volts, it's the ECU or the wiring short circuiting, somewhere between 12 volts and 5-volt systems. But yeah, we'll take the whole car apart and we'll try to find what's causing us this headache. Connected our diagnostics. As you can see over here, it's mostly 5 volts faults, the pedal, absolute pressure sensor, electronic, misfires, and stuff like that. Basically, yeah, all 5-volt sensors were not working. And last time we worked on this car, we probed the sensor. We disconnected the oil pressure sensor because it's the one which we changed before. We probed it, as you can see somewhere over there, just over there, here. And with ignition on, you can see it has 5 volts. But however, the day before we were working, when we probed the same way, we didn't move any car, we didn't move car at all, nothing. We found 11 volts, 12, 11, somewhere between 11, 12 volts in this same probing, same place. Therefore, we disconnected electronic, we disconnected map sensor, we disconnected oil pressure sensor. Yeah, everything was still 12 volts. However, when we came back next morning, we found everything was fixed itself. So we will put everything back together. We will try to start it, heat it up, and hopefully the problem is gonna come back. So we're gonna simply turn off the ignition, just to make sure that we wouldn't short circuit anything. Still getting 5 volts, so the AC is still not off. Just to make sure we don't want to burn the ECU, gonna pick up the key, close the door, lock it, unlock it just in case. And the ECU still has 5 volts. Okay, then we will try not to short circuit anything. We're just gonna disconnect from here. It's off. That's off. The sensor is somewhere there at the bottom. Yep, we connected that. That hose can stay up here. Okay, just to make sure that it wouldn't suck in anything which we don't want. Just gonna simply plug those back in place. Not fully connecting because we believe it's not gonna help in our case. Well, that we will be disconnecting those again. So yeah, that's it. Those are on. Just gonna simply turn on ignition. Drivetrain fault. Of course it's gonna have drivetrain fault because it's one of those faults which doesn't disappear on its own. I'm just gonna simply delete all the fault memory. So we put all the connectors back in place. Everything is supposed to be not working, however it's gonna work. We clearing the faults and gonna find that DME still has faults. I wonder what fault it is. Okay, it's already throwing us same errors. Okay, that's interesting. After we connect the sensor, we're still getting 12 volts fault, 5 volts fault. Gonna simply disconnect this connector. Okay, we have 1 volt 22. Seems like after all we will be disconnecting this hose much quicker than we anticipated. Okay, we still have 122. Okay, that's even more interesting, as at the moment we have short-circuited sensor. Okay. Nearly short-circuited again. Where's that old sensor? And if we pick up the original, the old one. Okay, they're both short-circuited. That makes our life a little bit more interesting. However, it doesn't explain why we yesterday had 12 volts. Just to make sure, I'm going to clear all the faults. Manifold pressure, yeah, so those are the ones which we disconnected. Pedal one needs adaptation, not adaptation, but actually like starting the car and pressing pedal a few times. Okay, let's try then connecting the sensor, throwing this hose back to place. I'm trying to start the car. Okay, besides that it doesn't have engine oil pressure light, well, sensor. It works fine. Okay, that's interesting. It's interesting to say the least. Okay, so we are still confused. Why is the sensor faulty? Is something else the problem? We are still being quite confused. Why that sensor is short circuiting? Yeah, let's try going to that diagnostic. What ideas does they give us? So if we go here, the first one is voltage, well, 5 volts. Second one is ground. Third one is sensor connection. To be fair, at this very moment, I have no idea what I'm doing, because I still don't believe the actual sensor is bad. Well, I believe that sensor now is bad, but still don't know why the sensor is bad. But first of all, we should probe those ones. I have nothing here. Nothing here. Okay. Go to 12 voltage. We have 0 volts. Most likely ignition is off. Probably. Hopefully. And if we check over here, okay, something is going on. After searching for problems with wiring, checking resistance between like different places, checking maybe there is a short circuit between the sensor and like 12 volt system, we didn't find anything. We decided that probably it's time to take ECU apart. Yep. So we didn't find anything what would be really bad with the ECU. Possibly there's a capacitor or resistor missing there. It seems like something is missing here as well, because there's a prongs of solder, but nothing soldered. We see on the plug where we have our 5 volts that some of the contacts, some of the plugs are not in the best condition. However, we didn't find anything what could be really bad with the ECU. However, still, we don't have the problem which is always coming, like sometimes everything seems working, like we get 5 volts and stuff like that, only when it's warm. So maybe it's one of those problems which is caused by heat changes. So even though we didn't see anything too bad with the ECU, it could be one of those problems which occurs only when after heat treatment. So basically when the engine gets warm, when the ECU gets warm. So we decided to buy another ECU, which we're gonna clone it, like take the software from the old ECU and clone it back to a new ECU. So that should be arriving hopefully tomorrow or day after. Then we're gonna take the intake manifold out, check the wiring over here, like if there's no like cuts, something like that. Change the sensor, which is already short-circuited. And then after changing everything, changing ECU and stuff like that, we're gonna try to warm up the car, and hopefully this time the 5 volts not gonna become 12 volts. So next thing on our agenda is removing the intake manifold. The next ECU is arriving hopefully tomorrow or day after. We're gonna change the ECU as well as we're gonna clone it from the old ECU, like basically take all the information from old one and move it to new ECU. That way we will not have any problems with immobilizer or as well as we're not gonna lose the tune. Because this car is tuned like pops and bangs, burbles, stuff like that. Maybe a little bit more HP. So next on our agenda is removing the intake manifold, changing the short-circuited oil pressure and temperature sensor. We're gonna put all back together, heat up the car, and hopefully we're not gonna have again the problem with 5 volts becoming 12 volts. Just like we wanted, the parts arrived, so we have a new sensor for the temperature sensor, well, new all pressure temperature sensor, as well as new ECU. Well, not new, used, salvaged from, I believe it's 100k car, give or take 100k kilometers car. So we're gonna clone this ECU software to this one. That should work. I will show you later in the video. As well as now we're gonna change this sensor, which is right there, just underneath this intake manifold. So we're gonna take out the intake manifold, remove the sensor, replace it, and then we're gonna clone the ECU, and that's us. We'll start checking if we are not getting 5 volts on, well, not getting 12 volts on our 5 volt system. So we managed to get the manifold out. As you can see, hopefully the valves doesn't look too great, like there's some carbon on all of them, but to be fair, I've seen worse. And there we have a sensor which is giving us a headache. We will be changing this sensor once again. We're gonna check the wiring. We're gonna check this wiring. No, not this one. This wiring as well. Just making sure there's no short circuits anywhere in between. Like for example, there is a positive 12 volts coming here. There is some shield missing. Probably I should have somewhere spare one. Just making sure that there is no like shorts, anything, because we already like took the manifold down. Like it's possible to change the sensor without removing the manifold. However, because it's giving us such weird problems, I decided to fully remove manifold. That way we will be able work more comfortably, see if there's no short circuits in the wiring and stuff like that. As well as it's gonna be much easier to change the sensor. We changed the sensor, which is over here. We took apart all the wiring, as you previously saw. And from what I can see, there is literally no damage to the wiring. There's a slight bend there, but that should be okay. Another bend here. But yeah, wiring looks amazing. Even though some heat shields, well, not heat shields, but some plastic bits were missing. We'll need to find somewhere this plastic bit to change it. Well, if we are working on this car, we should be making wiring better than it was before. But yeah, wasted time But at least now we are really sure that there's no problem with short circuit in this place, at least. Because this sensor was the one which was giving us short circuits. Like if we disconnect any other sensor, it doesn't come, 5-volt circuit doesn't come back alive, doesn't come back to life. However, whenever we disconnected the oil pressure sensor, it came back, at least the first time. The second time we found 12 volts, so either way, that should be okay. Now we need to put all back together, put the manifold back to place, and clone the ECU. An update, we fixed all the sleeves. We even fixed the one which looked awful. Now we put a not brand new, but spare one we had. So the wiring looks okay. We saw already that we have no short circuits anywhere, no cable damage, nothing. So we put just a few more things around, and we can finally put the manifold back to place. The sensor is already changed, connect all the hoses, and then we can go towards cloning ECU. Okay, the manifold is back on in place. All the plugs connected, all the wiring goes through its place. So we put all back together. Now it's time go to ECU. So we just finished reading the old ECU. We got out our flash and as well as EEPROM, a nice end code just in case. And now we're gonna take our donor ECU, which you can see over here, connect it, and then rewrite all the software. Well, rewrite the flash and EEPROM from one ECU to another. So I will show you the process. So we simply gonna unplug the plug and then simply moving those pins from one ECU to different ECU. At least I could put in the same place. Sorry for the messy table, but yeah, basically I'm just gonna simply move it, that one to over here. Just like I said previously, just following this diagram, simply plugging one ECU to another. Well, plugging all the pins from one ECU to another. Second from the top, we connected a new ECU, the donor ECU. We're simply gonna plug it back in multiprog. Yeah, I'm using XR's multiprog because it's a nice tool to have. Basically, it can do all the locksmith stuff as well as ECUs. So yeah, we're just gonna connect, read it, read the original flash EEPROM just in case if something that at least we would have a backup, and then move all the memory from this ECU to that one. So when working on ECUs, just make double sure that all the pins are in the right places. Most of the time, if one of the pins are not in the right place, it's fine, but if you have positive where the ground should be or vice versa, it can cause some problem to the ECU. So we're simply gonna connect it, just wait a few minutes. And I'm not gonna film the whole process of moving all the information, but for you to know, simply reading flash, reading EEPROM, and then writing both of those. VVDA multiprog does support calculating checksum, so it's gonna solve us a few problems. And that's it. So we're just gonna wait until it connects to the ECU, read all the info, write new data, and then plug it to the car, and hopefully everything will work. So we just finished writing our flash and EEPROM to the ECU, like to the donor ECU, to high probably. We just did that, and we just gonna read ISIN just to make sure that it wasn't corrupted. So on the left side you can see the donor ECU ISIN code, which is encrypted, and on the right side you can see the original ISIN. And if we just press read, which we already did, gonna take us a few seconds. We see that VIN is correct. And basically, if we compare it, two files being compared are the same. That's perfect. Amazing. So that's it. That's us finished with cloning. Now we're gonna put ECU back to the car and try to start. So we just plugged the ECU back in place. Didn't put any bolts in. The hose is still disconnected. It's fine. Well, we should probably connect it just in case if we decide to start it. Not gonna fully connect though. It just can be powered. Don't want any dust coming in. But yeah, it should be all okay. We're gonna do a quick ignition on. At least for now, we don't get any faults of drivetrain, which is good already. And then we connected ICOM and gonna do a quick diagnostic to make sure that we plugged everything what's supposed to plug. And then we do diagnostics, check if there's any faults. If nothing, then we will do cold start. We just connected our diagnostics. Gonna clear faults. You can see there was like 84 faults, but most of them were because I turned on the ignition a few times without ECU. So that's fine, as well as we had all the previous faults, like 5 volts and stuff like that. We're just gonna clear the faults, wait for changeover, and hopefully. And we have no faults in ECU, which is great already. If we just gonna press display fault memory, there's no faults. Everything seems working. The throttle response is okay. Base gate is rattling, usual with N20s. But yeah, everything seems okay. Just gonna do a quick check of the faults again. Make sure that everything is working fine. Check the engine temperature, check oil temperature, oil pressure. Just making sure that sensor is working. And then we're gonna put all back together, like in the engine bay. And probably gonna heat up the engine just to make sure that 12 volts doesn't come back in. Well, that 5 volt fault doesn't come back and 5 volts doesn't become 12 volts. We started the car. We found that one sensor was not plugged in. That's fine. We connected that. At the moment we see one bar in the oil pressure, 20 degrees in oil temperature. We'll start the car, make sure that this is working. So yeah, we have oil pressure, engine oil temperature is going up. That's perfect. Yep, so we finished with, well, not finished. We still need to put everything back in its places. Make sure all the connectors are not loose, like that. Put all the hoses back to its places. And then we're gonna just simply heat up the car, disconnect one of the sensors, track our 5-volt system, make sure that 5 volts doesn't go to 12 volts or 0. Make sure everything is alright, heat up to the operating temperature, maybe take it for a spin, and hopefully that's us finished with this car, this amazing car, which is giving us headache. So yeah, we put everything back together, like the ECU, all the cables, everything. And we started heating this car up, just to make sure that, like I said previously, 5 volts wouldn't become 12 volts. And everything was going fine. But then we decided to go to diagnostics. And we saw something really interesting. I'll try to show you. So yeah, we start the car, everything seems fine. No warnings, nothing. Only that the bonnet is open. And when you go to diagnostics, you can see that it's around 13 volts. That's interesting. Well, this one, the booster gives 1381. Then we decided to disconnect the booster. And what we see, 1311. Yeah, the battery is still charged. However, when we were checking diagnostics, we saw that the voltage dropped to 12.5 after like 5 or 10 minutes of working, like of the engine running. So yeah, apparently not only sensor, not only the sensor is broken, not only ECU was broken, but the generator as well. So yeah, we're gonna take out the generator. I'm not sure if the customer wants to get a spare one like from the donor car, or wants it to be restored, or wants a new one. But yeah, we're gonna change the generator and then check once more what other problems this engine will give us. We just finished generator. Put everything back together, give or take. Just to start it. We'll need to do all those hoses again, but still, it's fine. Just for starting, everything is plugged in. And moment of truth. Okay, that's amazing, it's charging. Give or take, it could be our tester. So yeah, that's fine, it's working. If we go over here, it's 14.6. So once again, we're in the heating phase. Just making sure everything is working. Gonna open garage door just to make sure that I wouldn't lose air. But yeah, everything seems working right now perfectly. We're still getting 14.8, 14.6 volts. So it's possible at least that we solved that problem. But yeah, we still need to find if the problem of 5 volts is still coming back. But hopefully everything will be okay. Yeah, we heated up the car. Took a few spins around the area just to make sure that the problem wouldn't occur again. So the generator is charging the battery all right, 14.5, 14.8. So that's us done with generator. The 5 volt circuit is still up. There's no 12 volts, not 0 volts, everything seems working. So we just took it for a spin, checked if everything is alright, already did diagnostics again, no faults, nothing to do with the car. Nothing to do with the engine, at least. What else? So yeah, now we let the car to cool down a bit. Gonna take it for the last spin, hopefully. Hopefully the problem will not occur again. And that's us finished with this amazing car. What I was thinking is, maybe, like, if the problem wouldn't occur again, maybe the generator was the main cause of all the problems, because the voltage might spiked, might jumped around during the driving, therefore the ECU was fried, therefore we were getting 12 volts in our 5-volt circuit. It's possible. Yeah, it would be one of the kind problem, but yeah, the generator is charging now, everything seems okay. No faults on 5-volt circuit. Hopefully, that's the last time I will be seeing this car. So yeah, last drive, hopefully everything will be okay. Everything seems working still. Okay, throttle response is okay. Decent. Sport Plus is on. Because the oil is already going up, we can push it just a little bit. Don't want to burn all the fuel of this car, because after all, customer needs to come back somehow. But yeah, everything seems working, so in the next frame, we're gonna be back in the garage. Just gonna take it slowly back to the garage, put it in comfort. So yep, once again, we finished our test drive, the last one. There was no problems coming up. We're just gonna do a quick scan once again, just to make sure, double check everything, make sure everything is connected to the right places. And that's it. Hopefully the problem will not occur again. We swapped generator because we saw low voltage. We swapped ECU because first time when we changed the sensor, the problem came back. As well as we saw 12 volts on our 5-volt system. Yeah, I'm still not sure if we quite solved the problem. But still, it's better than nothing. At least we tried to do something. But yeah, most likely the problem will not occur again. After all, the ECU is changed, the wiring is checked, and generator is changed as well. So everything should be okay. As I believe now, the main problem was the generator, which was not charging, or maybe it was spiking, or it was charging sometimes doesn't. Therefore, we had voltage spikes, especially whenever customer was pushing car hard. But now generator is doing okay, everything seems okay. And after all, everything seems perfect. Car is going nice. It has some pops and bangs tune. We cloned the ECU, so therefore the tune was not affected. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the longer format of the videos, because usually my videos is like 5-10 minutes long, at least first few of them. So I hope you enjoyed the long format video. If you like it, please press like button, which helps me a lot. Please subscribe, and see you next time. Bye.